are listening to Vamo Radio.
Hey, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Vamo Radio. And I'm here today live with Terrence Patterson, the creator of Half Past Jump Time, the web series. Hi, Terrence, how are you?
I'm doing well, Vanessa. How you doing? Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate the time you're giving me.
You're very welcome. So Terrence, can you tell everybody a little bit about your show? Because some of us who don't know it or haven't seen it yet, you should give us a
Sure.
little sneak peek what it's about.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so the show is it's a mixture of a bunch of things. Time travel, a Harlem Renaissance time traveler who has the power to come to modern day New York. And then there's also an element of the entertainment part of the 1920s, so the Cotton Club part, but
Mm.
also hip hop dance part of it. I didn't want to take
Okay.
I'll get into it later, but that's a part of the show as well. Big part of it is dance, so a lot of it will be some
Nice.
performance and singing as well. So a little bit of jazz because I want to mix
Wow.
jazz and hip hop, which has already been done before, but I want to do it in a visual manner
Mhm.
on an episodic kind of a series. So that's kind of what I wanted to do.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome.
And,
So how'd you get the inspiration for the show to create it?
yeah, it's a lot of things. Everybody says, yeah, it sounds good, but how did you bring all of that together? Okay, so I'm gonna start from the
Yeah.
beginning. So my grandmother,
Hmm.
I used to visit her when I was a little kid. So we lived in Daytona Beach and she lived in Jacksonville, Florida. So we would drive, most holidays, Easter, Mother's Day, whatever. So long story short, at the end of the night after we played with our cousins and ate and everything and had family time, I would just be up with her late at night. I know she had to go to like church on Sunday because she's a very church going lady, but I would just ask her questions about her youth because I was young. I was probably like 6, 7, 8, just
Hmm.
asking a bunch of questions. You know how kids do. So
Yeah.
I just started asking, hey, so how did you meet my grandfather? And what did you do when you were 20 something? Because you see your grandparents and you don't really think about they actually had a life before you came along. They were
Uh-huh.
young, going through the world. So I started asking her questions, and she told me what she could. But a part of it was meeting my grandfather during the 1920s.
Wow.
She was actually from Ohio, and then she visited New York for a little bit, for a couple of months. She wasn't here long, but then the story she told, just the people she met, and the rich textures and the richness of the story. I said, you know what? As I got older, I didn't know it then, but then I'm using those stories as a jumping off point for me even wanting to do something in the Harlem Renaissance. 'Cause I know it's a big landscape, Harlem
Nice.
Renaissance. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So you tell
And
us what do we hope to achieve from our
with the
storytelling?
Okay,
Yeah.
this is what I want to achieve with the story. Since it's a time travel show, so time traveler, her name is Harriet. She has
Mhm.
a niece who is a hip hop up and coming dancer here in New York, in contemporary New York, and
Mhm.
she is having a hard go of it. Both of them on both time periods are just not having a good time with making it, just being
Mhm.
women, being they're African Americans. So just going that whole
Mhm.
journey itself is just we can. There's a bunch of stories we could tell with that. Just their particular specific stories,
Mhm.
and more of it's about just opportunities. And
Mm.
that's another part of the story too. Is just both of them are experiencing what it's like to one opportunity and to be able to pursue it. And I think what I want people to take away from it also is, what your grandparents always say, you got the things that you guys are going through now. We've been through that before, and those kind of things. So I kind of wanted to juxtapose the 1920s, my grandmother's being a young person, and me living here in New York now, and just
Mhm.
juxtaposing our lifestyle and how we went through life. Her as a woman and being a black woman here in New York, single, and just her being unable to get a decent job, just all of
Mm.
those kind of things, just to support herself. It wasn't that
Yeah.
she didn't have any skills; it was just opportunity wasn't there. And
Right.
then I want to juxtapose that to now, like with her niece, her great niece, who lives in New York
Mhm.
now, young up and coming actor, singer, does some singing as well, but also dancing, and she's having a hard go of it as well. But I want to kind of juxtapose both of the lives, and I want to be something symbolic about us looking back and learning from the past because I don't think we do that enough. For people
Yeah.
paved the way for us. So in this instance, as from an entertainment standpoint, maybe Josephine Baker, the things that she had to go through to even have to go to another country to get recognition, just those kind of things I want to kind of talk about. But
Right.
also, a lot of it, some of it is sci-fi as well, which I want to reach back into some African kind of Nubian pharaoh kind of stuff, which is where the ring comes in that Harriet has that helps her open up portals and be able to come back and forth. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. So
yeah.
so tell me, for it to be a show that you create on your own,
Mhm.
can you tell me why did you choose specifically a sci-fi web series? Like, is there any symbolic meaning to that?
Just because My mother was a lover of sci-fi. My sister's a lover of sci-fi. There's so many women who love sci-fi, and I don't think that
Hmm.
market is being catered to enough. So this story is
Yeah.
actually another part of me even creating the story was just it was kind of I wanted to be challenged. Like, okay, I want to come up with
Mm.
a series based on two women because a lot of the sci-fi that I see that I like a lot, Doctor Who,
Mm.
a lot of the other shows, male driven. A lot of
Yeah.
them they had female counterparts, but the women didn't have they weren't the center part of the story. They didn't carry the
Mm.
story. You didn't see the story through their eyes. But me being a
Mm.
man, I want to interject this right now. I definitely want to get. I'm working on a small writers room so I can get some female writers to add nuance. So it's just two female leads. I'm not saying that I can't write it, but you have to have women in the room if it's a it's a female driven show. I mean, it just
Yeah.
wouldn't, come on. I know that I could do it, but it's just
Mhm.
not right. It would just I need to see it through their lens because I may write a different scene and have a different reaction from one of my characters. And
Yeah.
one of my female writers will be like, women don't, she probably wouldn't react that way. You're looking at it from a
Right.
man's perspective, trying to write for a woman. It doesn't say that men can't write women parts. I'm not ever going to say that.
Hmm.
But I just think the story would be enhanced more. So that's what in front of the camera, behind the camera, I wanted to be very female influence. Be
Nice.
directors, DPs, ADs, assistant directors, everything. I wanted because I wanted to help nurture the environment of the story. So yeah.
Nice. I
Hmm.
think that's really unique that you chose to do actually from a female perspective. Like you said, we really see that today. That's really cool.
It,
That's awesome that
it,
you even think of something like that. I really think that's awesome.
thank
It's actually enhancing actually the female likeness of modern day society for sure. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. It's a tricky story, but I think I just want to play it so that the center part of the story is Harriet, who's a time traveler. She's about to lose her cotton
Mhm.
club type uh, establishment because she has to, feed herself. She's not married at that time in the 1920s. It's hard as being a little backstory. A widow. She had a long term relationship that didn't work out, so she has to support
Mhm.
herself. Having that ring presents its own power. I think it's
Uh-huh.
symbolic for her to be a woman and have that power. So I want to explore how she uses that as opposed to kind of how a man would use the power. Because she could easily just,
Yeah.
whether it's the ring kind of it summons time portals, but it also stops time and anything that deals with time, the ring can kind of control. So she could easily go into a bank and just kind of rob. But she's a very astute and smart woman, and she also
Mhm.
has a science counterpart. I want to bring this in too, who
Okay.
helps her with the ring. She is a very smart, intelligent counterpart of hers who is going to start traveling with her to different time periods, but well, particularly contemporary New York. But I
Mhm.
wanted to have that symbol in the story as well. A smart woman who happens to be black, a scientific mind, but in that time period can explore her intelligence as much as she can because there's all these constraints,
Mhm.
even though just her being a black woman, but women just in general. And that. And then I want to just pose that against now, like, have we
Mhm.
really progressed in a whole lot of ways as far as how people, particularly African Americans, the story is told from African American standpoint, the characters African
Yeah.
American, but there'll be multi-ethnic, but have things changed for us? I mean, we do. I mean, we have a lot of freedoms now, but there's still a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
There really are.
You're
I'm not
quite
saying that
right.
life isn't better, but when I remember the stories that my grandmother would tell me, I'd be like, wow. And I'm thinking about it now, like I'm going through some of the same things, even though I find myself being a black man who I guess in some sense educated, got a college degree, whatever. I still find a hard time, when I was working for, someone else, finding a hard time finding a job, even though I had great experience. Not saying it was all predicated on me being black, but oh boy, a lot of it, a lot of it was,
Yeah.
you go back, you just think like, what did I do that I didn't get this? It's not, and sometimes I kind of liken it to this, that people that are, I'm going to go off a little bit of a tangent, but as far as that experience, me trying to get a job, people who are hiring and hiring positions or whatever, they don't leave their prejudices and everything at the door when they swipe in. They bring
Yeah.
their whole person to work too. So you got to deal with
Yeah.
people, and that's a lot of what the story's about too. It's a character-driven story too. So
Nice.
I want to emphasize that it's sci-fi, but I want it to be character-driven as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
So as far as you've gotten so far with the show, you tell me like what's next for the production of the
Yeah,
show?
we
Like what's
actually
next?
have episodes 3, 4, and 5 are written.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to kind of like pace myself. I'm gonna actually have a
Mm.
crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter,
Okay.
only because with sci-fi, audiences are now so intelligent and they have a more of a keen eye on what they want to see that you can't. You can't skip over that. You can't flush that. You got to make it good. So
Right.
a lot of the part of the budget is going to be post production. And we have a great, actually, a visual effects company who's kind of a friend of mine works there and kind of guiding us in that respect. So we do have a lot of people helping us behind the scenes so that when, the crowdfunding happens, that we'll be able to execute it in a way that's right for the story and it's visually the way that I want it to look. Because with these kind of
Mhm.
things, you do have to take your time. Because like I said, audiences are way smarter now than they used to be as far as what they're looking for and how stories should be told.
Mhm.
There's a lot of articles now about, sometimes with African American stories that the characters are not multi-layered. They just seem to be kind of like sometimes caricature or sometimes stereotypes. Sometimes the
Mhm.
truth in both of those, in stereotypes and characters, I guess there's some truth in them. But some
Mhm.
people want to see just people just going through life, just being people, and who happen to be black. So that's kind of what I
Yeah.
wanted to do.
Nice. I really appreciate you being able to tell a story from an African American perspective.
Yeah.
Because actually a lot of people I know people are trying to do it now. Some people say, Tyler Perry or Jordan Peele. People of those natures are, which they are, but you're telling from actually a different point of view and actually from an older time. And like you said, have we really progressed as much as we think we have?
Yeah. I want to look at it from a anthropological kind of standpoint, like
Mm.
going back in history and just kind of really looking at. We always hear about the Harlem Renaissance and how the glitz and glamour of it and the
Mhm.
intellectual part of it, but I kind of want to really live in it. There's actually some good series that are going to be coming out soon. I think LeBron James has a good one that's coming out with
Mhm.
Madam C.J. Walker. I think I forgot the
Wow.
actress's name who's going to be playing it. She was in The Help. She's really good, and I can't believe I forgot her name at this point. Not Viola Davis, but the other actress. But anyway,
Yeah.
she's going to be Madam C.J. Walker. So people going to that time period because it's with the invention of jazz, which is another African American invention,
Right.
and then for my story, the hip hop part of it with the beats and the dance part of it, another
Yeah.
African American invention. So I
Exactly.
want to marry the two. So that's another layer of the story that I want
Right.
to tell as well. Because I'm a big fan of that late '90s kind of hip hop with
Mhm.
the whole jazz inspiration. Jay Z actually he uses a lot of jazz and horns in his music as well. Diggable Planets, I don't know if you know them, but Diggable
Yes.
Planets back in the day. Guru with Jazz Taz, all of that. Queen Latifah had a great album that was jazz influenced. So there is a way to do that and marry those two. Um,
Yeah.
I want to use that. I mean, the music is definitely a big part of it, but I also want to highlight some luminaries of the time, like the Madam C.J. Walker's. I don't know if I could use her now because she's the intellectual property. I maybe even use it, but like Josephine Baker, W.B. Du
Mm.
Bois, like that. I want them to come through that club as well, and I want us to have conversations of kind of hypothetically what they say, and then have some of the contemporary characters speak to them because they're going to be speaking to
Wow.
people who have a whole different mindset of what it is to be, in some instances, an African American. Like
Yeah.
the freedom that we think about now. Could you imagine going back to
Right?
that time period and the constraints that you would have to go through? Like the
Yeah.
just the ability to dream your biggest dream. I mean, I know there are people who were doing it back then, but just society itself wouldn't allow you to do that. Like you couldn't just say, I want to be a doctor and work in the best hospital in the country.
Right.
You could do that and go to the medical school and do that, but I'm sure there's hundreds of stories of people in America of African American descent who, and many other races as well, who went to school, whatever the case, trade school, open up beauty shops, whatever, and try their play, do their trade, get money from banks, and were denied
Yeah.
to grow their
Definitely.
business, to help their family, to help their community,
Yeah.
and that's another part of what I'm going to explore as well because Harriet with the club, the kind of cotton club, she at first tried to get money. She's like, look, I have
Yeah.
a business. I want to just 1920 now. You have to understand
Yeah.
1924. So the things that she had to go through, and she had the money
Yeah.
to get this done, but people didn't believe that a woman in that time period could have that amount of money, especially a black woman. I don't know. I'm gonna
Yeah.
touch on well, just those little things, but it won't always be so much about race. But I do want to talk about it.
Mhm.
A good jumping off point would be Watchmen. I don't know if you watched The Watchmen with Regina King. That's a good
Mm.
story, just because it also married things that happened in the past with her being, kind of a superhero in the contemporary times now. So that's actually
Yeah.
a good point. And it had, the whole Tulsa massacre that happened in one of the. I don't know if you saw the show, but that whole first
Yeah.
episode, yeah, that was really kind of touching. Like we all heard about that, but just to see it
Yeah.
visually,
It's like you see it.
like,
Yeah.
wow, that's a lot. Like that's a
Yeah.
lot to invest. But
Definitely.
we do
Yeah.
sometimes see those visuals to kind of spark something in us. Like,
Hmm.
you know, people really went through a lot. People went through a lot. Just and at that point, I think I don't want to simplify what they went through, but they were just trying to make a better life for themselves, and they were thriving and making, you know, having a good economic system that was supporting people and having a community, and to have it taken away like that was just, you know, kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
but yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
I appreciate that. Actually, I want to say I know that you're also a owner of your own company, which is fantastic. I mean, you're already doing so much. You have your own show, and you're already an owner as well. So, tell me, when did you decide to create Paragon Multimedia?
I started to put Paragon Multimedia together. I'll backtrack a little bit. When I first moved to New York, I moved from Atlanta, and I was going to stay here for a year and then go to law school. My whole point was to come
Hmm.
here, see what it's about, and then take the LSAT again because I didn't do so well the first time. Take the LSAT again and go to
Wow.
law school. So,
Hmm.
long story short, I met a good dear friend of mine who's no longer with us, but she actually inspired for me to become a producer. Her name is Beverly Orozco Simmons. I will always dedicate all of my projects to her because she's the impetus for me bringing out the creative side, because I come from a family in the South in Florida. You know, they just like, you can't go to law school, go to medical, you know, that kind of thing. They wanted to have that path,
Yeah.
something secure, a good job. And I
Right.
always wanted to be an actor and be creative. So with her, I started, you know, taking acting classes and trying out for different theater things. But long story short, I wanted to be a producer. So I worked with her for a very long time. We produced an off-Broadway play called The Newlyweds for like 12 years. And at the same time, we were pitching movies. I was working at law firms. So during my hour break, or when I had some downtime, I would run downstairs. This is, you know, in New York, and sometimes in the freezing cold, making calls,
Mm.
trying to call NBA agents to try to throw out to try to get money
Yeah.
for our movies. So long story short, I opened up my own shop in 2012 because I felt like now with YouTube and ways to get online, it's easy for you to do your own thing now. You really can
Yeah.
you can control the narrative, you can control the story, and it can grow as big as it needs to be. You can be an Easter Ray and start like what I'm doing, and get an HBO, somebody to come to you, or you can just have a good online presence because everybody from young to old are looking at something online all the time.
Yeah.
So I just thought, you know, why don't I just create something that I thought could be on television? So in my mind, that's how I'm creating my shows. Like, this should be on television. This should be on TV
Mhm.
or streaming on Netflix, Hulu, BET Plus, Disney Plus. So that's how I'm kind of. So I have a couple of other projects that I've developed. I'm going to start shooting those as well. But that's one of the reasons I started Paragon, was just to get content out there that I thought
Yeah.
might be missing. And I thought,
Hmm.
you know, like kind of like Jordan Peele also, you know, been some genres as far as sci-fi and maybe a historical piece, like with my show, like going to 1920s and bringing
Yeah.
sci-fi in it together, and you know, adding in the contemporary part of it.
Nice. Nice. I mean, wow, you do a lot more than I do. I could never do
No,
what
no,
you
I read
do.
your bio. No, you do a lot of
Man.
metro radio station. You're doing well, and you have your own business as well, right? You have your own stuff
Yeah,
too.
I do. I
So
do. Man, you have your own show. I mean, it's on Amazon. I mean, you're just out of everywhere. Then you own your own company. That's fantastic. I mean,
it
I
takes a
love to
lot
see.
of self-discipline. I'm gonna tell you that. And as you know,
Yeah.
I know it's hard having your own business. When people say, "Hey, I own my own business," sometimes I just take my hat off just for you saying that, because I know it's a lot. The sacrifice you got to make
Yeah.
with your family, with your friends, socially,
Yeah.
because when you are resting, somebody else is working. And I
Right.
mean, not so much somebody going ahead of you, but it really is about. But this for me for content, and with you for content as well. You got to keep
Yeah.
it out there because people are gonna get bored. They get bored
Yeah.
easily.
They do.
People are interested in stuff. So I
Yeah.
think
That's why I
I
really
mean
appreciate
I
this.
applaud you too for being an entrepreneur too. So I'm doing a
Yeah.
lot too, but I know you're doing a lot as well. So
Well, I'm glad we're both very hardworking people, and I really appreciate having you on the show for sure. Again, you guys, this has been Terrence Patterson on Vamo Radio, and you can check out this interview again by visiting vamo-radio.com. It will be on the site really soon, as well as our YouTube channel. You guys, you can check out all the links, as well as check out the web series. It will be down at the link below. Check that out as well. And
thank you.
also, Terrence, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me Terrence Patterson on Facebook, on Twitter, Florida FLA underscore two underscore NYC. Um, and I think that's about it. I'm really only on those two things. Instagram, you can look us up on HBJT underscore web series. But I'll give you that information if you, and I'll post it as well. When you post yours, and I'll post mine, and then
Nice.
we'll get
All
everybody can
right.
come on social media.
Sounds good. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure you stay tuned for the next episode of Vamo Radio and check out our next celebrity. We'll be promoting it very soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me.